have worked or where your parent has worked or where your uncle or sister have worked, what are some of the benefits that pertains there? Quickly, can you tell me something? Quasi, give me one. What are some of the benefits that you know that the employers give their employees at where they work? What comes to mind? Quickly, quickly. We don't have
They
time.
have loan benefits.
Maybe, yeah, some organization provide advance, staff advance. It's not really a benefit, but what this means is that they are flexible to giving you soft advance before even your salary come. And when your salary come, then you then repay your advance. But that's not really a benefit, but it's something that they can policies that they can put in place to motivate firms. Okay, I can overlook it. What again comes to mind? Let's give about six of them. I remember transportation allowance.
Car allowance.
Yeah, I'll put it the transportation allowance of
Okay, clothing allowance.
yeah, those in the bank receive clothing,
Health benefits.
health benefits, and what again? I remember gardener,
Educational for their
yeah,
children.
child child education policy. Some of you in the class now are even on a cocoa scholarship from where your parents work. So maybe your parent is a farmer or something. You are enjoying cocoa benefits. It's one of them. What again? I can think about canteen services. Where, in other words, they are fed every. What again? Do you know about social security benefits?
Yes, sir.
What again? Quickly, quickly. Restrictions, sir. Restrictions,
Okay, please, accommodation.
That's the terabytes now. Gigabyte now. Right. Purchase of 1,000 something gigabytes worth of data. MTN from MTN cable nets. It has to be detailed. Who mentioned? Has anybody mentioned a point again?
The accommodation.
Accommodation is here. Okay, it's not there. Okay, accommodation benefits. Okay, now these benefits, IS 19 groups them into two main types. Two main types. Okay, we have one, the short term benefit, and then the long term benefit. So basically, when you look at some of the benefits are claimed. No, that one is our own thing. Okay. But we need the thing. Bank Nana cannot go without supplier thing. That's why we have to investigate. But you can go to Glorico, they will contact the test, then you spy their company certificates. You stay on the front of the company certificate that thing will be there. Okay, so we need to find that one. That one is very important. So we have short-term benefits, and long-term benefit, and these benefits, most of them, they are claimable monthly. Every month the institution pays. Every month the organization pays, and some of these benefits. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And some of them are very long. Can anybody tell me some of the long-term benefit that we have, like social security benefit, like provident fund? Some organizations have something called long service awards, sabbatical leave. Okay. Like those of us in the academia, we enjoy what is called sabbatical leave. You teach for a period of 10 years. You are entitled to a sabbatical leave of and a minimum of 1 year, maximum of 2 years, and you can. But there are conditions attached to this. I mean, these are benefits that the institutions can provide. Now, this topic, IS 19, concentrates more on the long-term benefits. Long-term benefits has 3 main types.
Hello, sir.
Has 3 main types. It has the defined contribution scheme, defined benefit scheme, and multi-employer benefits. Now, if you look at it carefully, the first and the second one look very identical. We have the defined benefit scheme and defined contribution scheme. The only distinguishing feature is the middle term. This is contribution, this is benefit. Please take notes. Okay, so these are the 3 main types. Much of our work are going to concentrate on the second item, defined benefit scheme. But let's see what are they. Defined contribution scheme. This is where an employer makes a mandatory contribution into a pension Yeah, Chris, your hand is up.
I wanted you to admit.
Yes, I've admitted them. Okay. So this is where an employer makes a mandatory contribution into a fund manager, a fund which manages the pension needs of employees. Okay, so here it takes the form of SNET. Every month, because by law we make payments, institutions make SNET tier 1 contribution into a fund, and then at the end of a periodic or a period, when you are 60 years, you go to SNET for your money. You don't go to the organization, your firm, for your money. Now, here, the risk is with the employee or the fund manager. Now, basically, it's a simple scheme that we pay, and whatever we pay at the end of every month, we expense it. It's not a difficult thing to do. It is a mandatory contribution that the fund makes into a scheme which manages the pension needs of the employee. And once we pay that, here risk is completely transferred, okay, into the fund manager. In Ghana, we talk about SNET, Social Security and National Insurance Trust. So the trust handles that. Okay, so that is a dimension. And please take note, this is a defined contribution scheme. Now, on the second point, which is the major topic of today, now let me just touch on multi-employer. As the name implies, multi-employer is where you have 2 or 3 or more employees who come together to provide a benefit scheme for its employees. So it's quite different. Here, more than one employer feels that they have a common interest for a common employee and a common group, and That's what they team up to do for their employees. So you would have maybe the trade union congress of a particular association, maybe Association of Ghana Industry, and they come together, or maybe bulk oil producers or oil marketing company, they can come together and say that no, because we have a filling station, we operate filling station. I think that in our common interest, we can set up a risk scheme for these staff who work at the filling station, the pump and all of that. So multi-employer is where several employers come together to provide a common scheme for their employees who work with these industries. Please take note. But when you talk about the major work of the day, it got to do with, it has to do with, number 2 is what defined benefit scheme. And the distinction I mentioned to you is the benefit in the middle, defined benefit scheme. Now, this is much complex in nature. Here, the employer makes a promise which gives rise to an obligation on itself. It happens so much that when you talk about defined benefit scheme, yes, sometimes at the annual DEBA, an organization can make a definite promise that if you work with us and you are 60 years, you go pension here. Once you are going on pension, you'll be entitled to a 50-inch TV and a fridge. So if this year 10 of your employees are going on pension, then you are likely obliged to provide for 10 50-inch TVs and a double-decker fridge for these employees. So sometimes you make a promise. I quite remember in the past, I don't know whether it still happens, in the Bank of Ghana, when you work with them for a period of 10 years, you are entitled to a gold bar. They give you a gold bar as an employee to either go and sell or to go and keep in your bedroom, which are these are promises that organizations make, and for which reason it puts an obligation on the firm in that respect. Now, the risk is with the employer, like before. Okay. Now, because the risk is with the employer must be wise to set up an investment to manage this risk. That's what we call planned assets, or some call it sinking fund. Basically, I have an obligation. To meet, for which reason typically set up planned assets, a sinking fund, so that when the obligation right, I can get to take my hand to that fund that I've set up to honor the obligation that I'm supposed to have expected to meet. So that's how it is. You have put an obligation on yourself as an institution, for which reason you would have to put an investment fund to take care of that. Are there any questions so far? Are there any questions? Okay. So if there are no questions, let's see the format. Okay. Let's see the format, please. So let's look at the format for the obligation. How to set up the amortization spreadsheet for the obligation. There's always an opening balance here. So let's see the format for just 1 year. Let's see here. We have an obligation opening balance of transaction. And as soon as the opening balance may be 3rd January of the beginning of the year. And of course, time value of money to travel for 1 year before the close of the year. So obviously, you have interest for the year. And that interest for the year is worked on the opening balance of the obligation. These are costs that we incur in maintaining or in managing the scheme. Okay, that is a current service cost, but I'll leave you to go and find out what past service cost is. Then we have what is called benefit paid. And you should know that in each year, some employees will be due. If you are running a 10-year provident fund, and employees are motivated to work with you for the next 10 years so that they can enjoy some benefits. I've seen organizations where when you work with them for 10 years, they give you even a 2-bedroom flat as your entitlement. So at any point in time in a year, a particular year, some group of employees will be due for those benefits. And these are the benefit that we pay out to these employees. Please take note. Now, the benefit paid out appears on the obligation format, and then again also appears on the plan asset format, because organization will always, when people are due and we are going to pay them, obviously we put our hands into the fund. We dip our hands here to remove the money from here and pay the obligations which are due there. So take note. Now, when you are done with this, we need to know our actual obligation, total actual obligation for that year. But obviously, the market, just be observant on how we close the year for these instruments, because they are very tricky. Now, the market will provide a fair value of a closing balance, which may be the same or in most cases be different from your actual closing balance you will get from your raw computation that you have. Okay, so now the difference between the two is what we call a balancing figure. Actually, we call it actual gain or loss. It may be gain, it may be loss. Okay, so that is how we close an obligation, a setup of an obligation in that regard. Now, while these obligations are ripened, let's look at how to set up also the sinking fund, an investment vehicle to manage this obligation that a firm had put on itself. Yeah. Now, you have it also that with the plan asset, it also equally have an opening balance for that particular year. Yeah. So, okay. And then we have interest, of course. If it's an investment, it will also have interest for the year. Every investment attracts an interest. Yeah. And in this case, when you set up a fund, the firm must also make regular contribution into that fund, into that investment vehicle. So that fund, yes.
So please, the interest for the year, is it the one calculated on the fund or?
The interest for the year is calculated on the opening balance. Okay. Opening balance. So as soon as the opening balance comes, you work out the interest for the year on the opening balance. Because the opening balance must respect the time value of money. So if opening balance as 1st January 2021, by 31st December 2021, time value of money for that particular year has grown. Okay, so that is the interest for the year. It works on the opening balance of the obligation, and it also works on the opening balance of the planned assets. Then we have contribution paid. Now, contribution paid is the regular contribution that the firm puts into the fund. If you set up a fund and you don't put in money, it will die. Some of you have small associations that you set up to help your community, but without regular contribution into that fund, it will die. Okay, so the firm must make regular contribution into the pool to take care of the needs of its employees in that regard. Okay, now that closed the plan assets. That also close the plan assets. So there will also be an actual balance. Okay. Because there will also be an actual balance, which gives us like a carrying amount in our books. So obviously, the carrying amount may be different from the market closing balance. Okay. It takes the same approach to closing this. Okay. So the difference between the carrying amounts, which you have in your books, and the fair value closing balance becomes your actual gain or loss. Yeah, it may be gain or loss. Okay. Mr. Minta, welcome. So that gives us. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Are there any questions? Yes.
Please, what is the gain or loss term that's the actual?
Because it's a non-cash item, one. And two, it is a revolving build-up into the other comprehensive income. You remember that the equity changes in equity or other comprehensive income handles non-cash items.
Yeah.
And these are build-up models of amortization spreadsheets that you use to report these benefits. So how they are termed as actuarial is because they are investment appraisals which build up on itself. And obviously, when you have an actual against the market closing balances, because of course you've done your own spreadsheet and you have your own actual balance, okay, and the market gives you a closing balance. So the difference between the two could be a gain or loss to the value gain or loss in our computation. Is that okay with you?
Okay, sir. So, one thing again.
Okay, sure.
So, in preparing the sinking fund share spreadsheet, will you be giving the interest rate that you'll be applying on the sinking fund opening balance, or you have to do the calculation?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Can you repeat your question again?
Hello, I'm saying that when we are asked to prepare the sinking fund spreadsheet, are we going to be giving the interest rate, or we will be calculating it ourselves?
Yeah, but they will give you the interest figures. They'll give you the interest rates. Yes, that's correct. You will not calculate it yourself. I guess what you mean, like the way effective interest rate you will have to work out at some point in time, but that's not.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay, so with this one as well, I remember the time you were teaching us the one involving the financial asset and financial liability. We prepare the financial statement extract. In this case, are we going to prepare that one as well for the
Which
financial
one?
statement, the financial statement extract for the after we are done.
Yeah, but we are in the journey, crowd. We've not gotten there. We'll
Okay.
get there, crowd, but we've not gotten anywhere, crowd, my
Okay.
brother.
Okay.
So just know the format, and I'll begin to fly into those dimensions. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So is that clear with everybody? If those who are copying, if you've copied, that's fine. Then we can look at your slides, what your slides have to offer. Now, pension account, the employee benefit is about pension scheme. There are two forms of pension scheme: defined contribution scheme and defined benefit scheme. Now, I mentioned to you that there was also a multi-employer benefit scheme. And there are broadly, when you talk about employee benefits, we are talking about short and long-term benefit. Now, the group of pension schemes land itself in the category of long-term benefit. And under the long-term benefit is where we have the three types. Okay. Now, defined contribution schemes are very simple. The company simply make a contribution, pay an amount into the pension of an employee each year, and then that's it. The risk is with the employee. Okay, like I've explained to you before. Okay, but the defined benefit pension scheme is much complex. Like I said, you make a promise and that brings you a burden. And here the risk is with the employer. Take note. So let's look at a quick question and how we can address it with the formats that we have. It says that contact details PLC. Now the following information is given about the funded defined benefit plan. Funded defined benefit plan given to employee by the above company who's operate in a dating agency industry. To keep the computation simple, all of the obligation was 990 million. And then the market value of the plan assets was 1,000 million. I guess 1 billion, isn't it? At 1st January, year one. The actuarial gain and losses are to be recognized as they occur outside the profit or loss in other comprehensive income. Take note. So you have current service costs 130, 140, 150. Benefit paid out 150, 180, 190. And some of these things we've come across before when we were dealing with the formats. Contributions paid, where will it go? The planner said 90, 100, 110. Now, present value of obligation at 31st December each year, 1,100 for year one, 1,380 for year two, and 1,408 for year three. So, and then we have the market value of the plan assets at 31st December each year, 1,190, 1,372, and 1,188. Discount rate at start of year is 10%, 9%, and 8%. And then expected rate of return for plan asset at start of the year. Ignore this. It's 12%, 11%, and 10%. Required. Show the financial statement effect for all the 3 years. Like your colleague just mentioned, you are not interested in the amortization spreadsheet. We are accountants, for God's sake, and we want to know how these spreadsheets. Hey, this girl, is she now coming? Estella, are you now coming to class? Hey. Is she now coming to class?
Hello, sir. Please, no.
But why? You've been here before. Hey.
Yes, please.
I see. Okay. That's fine. I'll be checking what time you come to class. I see. Okay, that's good. Let's press on. Or your SRC people called you, so you have to fall out and fall in again. I see. Okay. Let's get on. So basically that's it, and we need to know how to work things out with this formula we have. Let me get an Excel sheet to do this. Get an Excel sheet to do it. Please get your calculators ready. I get so annoyed if I ask for the workout and I'm not getting result from you guys. If I don't get result from you guys, I will turn it into a reading account and we'll read and close the session for you. Please, it's a long calculation and I need your assistance on this. Okay, so we have Contact PLC, Employee Benefit Scheme Schedule. Okay, we have, let's do the obligation first. Then we now think about the planned asset, which is the sinking fund to take care of that. Okay, so we have year 1, year 2, year 3. You know how to use Excel. For the people who are just watching, you should know how to use Excel. Practice them on your computer. You'll be good at it. So what do we start with? The plan obligation, what do we start with?
Opening balance.
Opening balance, yeah? Now, what is the opening balance? It says that Contact PLC, the present value of the obligation was 990,000. Okay. And it's in millions. Let's keep them in millions. Yeah. Okay. Well, these are in millions, so let's keep the figures in millions so that we can move a bit faster. Now, so the opening balance for year 1 is 990 million. And you need to work out your interest rate, interest for the period, yeah? So what are the interest rates, discount rates that we have? We have discount rate at the start of each year, 10%, 9%, and 8%. So we have 10% for year 1, 9% for year 2, and 8% for year 3. Can somebody work out 10% on the 990? I guess it's 99. Yeah, 99. And we have the current service cost. Okay. What is the current service cost from the question? Now, if you come down, okay, we have the current service cost. Year 1 is 130. 140, 150 for year 2 and 3. So year 1 is 130. Yes, hello? Yes, do we have any past service cost in the question? No. Do we have benefits paid out? Paid? I think so.
Yeah.
So the benefit paid for each year. Benefit paid. If I'm not saying anything, put your mic on mute. So benefit paid is 150 for year 1 and 150, 190 for year 2. So 150 for year 1. Benefit paid
150.
year 1. And now I indicated to you that the benefit paid, it will actually was taken from the plan investment. We take it from the sinking fund and use it to pay the obligation. So it appears on both legs, yeah? Okay, so if you look at, okay, let me set this thing up. Real black, I prefer accountant. Redeemer, Jesus God. Hosanna, precious Lamb of God. Okay, so we don't have any item again. Let me check and be sure. Opening, interest rate, current service cost, past service costs. We didn't have them in the question. Benefit paid. I'm done. So you have your actual balance. What is the total? Can somebody
hello,
give it? Yes.
sorry, I want to take you back small. Please, with the current service cost, which
Good.
one is that? Is it the payment made to the employee?
No, never. The payment made to employees whose benefits are due is the benefit paid. That is why we take the money from the sinking fund and come and pay the employees whose benefits are due. Do you understand it?
Okay, sir.
The current service cost is the expenditure that we incur in managing the schemes. Okay. Please take note. Now, what are the totals we have here? 1,069.
Yes, 1,069.
But what is the closing balance on the market? Do we have 1,069? Okay, so you see that the present value of the obligation at 31st December, year one, is what? 1,100. So now it's very tricky to interpret this. Now, if you look at this is an obligation. Okay, so it's a cost to the organization. If your actual is 1,069 and the market is actually posting a cost obligation balance of 1,100, then it means that it's really a loss to us. Okay, the actuarial gain or loss. I'm saying gain or loss because in some years it may be gain, in some years it may be loss. Yeah,
That's one.
What's the difference? That's one. Good. Okay, so we have the 1,100. Okay, and again also the balance you have here, okay, opens itself up as beginning balance here. So 1,100 opens up as a beginning balance here. Okay, now let's complete the structure. Then I'll show you where each of the items goes. Now, what is 9%? Year two is 9%. What's 9% on the 1,100?
99.
99.
Yeah, so it's also 99. Now, if you have the current service cost for year two and year three, is 150, 140, and 150. Yes. Can you give? Yes. Were you saying something?
Yeah. So what is that? We didn't bring the contribution paid.
In the format, the contribution paid goes into the plan assets. The contribution paid is a regular, like the way the firm makes regular contribution into SNET. This one is the firm-owned setup investment fund that manages the scheme, and the firm must still make regular contribution into that scheme so that it will grow. And when employees are due, we take the money from there and come and pay the obligation here. That's very clear. Now, the benefit paid for year two and year three, 180, 190. Just put it there quickly. We don't have time. Now, what is the closing balance for year two? Actual balance.
1,159. 1,159.
Good. And you come to the obligations at the close of year two is 1,380. Wow, a huge loss. Now, what do we have as a difference, please?
221.
Okay, so the 1,380 opens this up here. What is 8% of 1,380? What is 8% of that?
110.4.
So what is the closing balance?
No, no, that's not the
1,400 and what?
50.4.
Okay.
So 1,450.4.
Okay, but the closing balance of the obligation is 1,408. So that gives us, okay, this one will give us some gain because we are providing less than what we have to do for the year. Okay. So what's the difference?
42.4.
It's minus actually. I think it's minus. Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. So the other one is okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's it. And let's see the structure for the planned assets. Let's see the opening balance, interest for the period. I guess let me pick it directly. Let me have the contribution paid. Of course, the benefit paid is already there. If I were you, I would even pick it direct and bring it down here. Okay. So what is the opening balance for year one? In the scheme, they opened at 1,000. And the market value of the planned asset was 1,000 assets. 2001. So this is 1,000. I think 10% of 1,000 is 100. And contribution paid for year one is 90, year two is 100, and year three is 110. Wow, what a rate. 100. So what is the actual balance for year one?
1,040.
1,040. Do we have the same as the market closing balance? An investment, let me check. So the closing balance for year one is 1,190. 1,190. What is the actual gain or loss? Now, in this case, also, this is an asset. This is our own investment. Okay. So if our actual carrying value is 1,040, but our fair value is 1,090, it means that we're actually making a gain of, I think, 50, isn't it? Is it 50?
150.
150. Again to us. Okay. Now the 1,190 opened this up as an opening balance. What is the 8%? 9% of 1,190.
107.1.
Okay, what's the actual balance?
$1,217.1.
1,217.1.
When you have a closing balance of 1,372. 1,372. So it's more. It's also a gain for us.
154.9.
So then 1,372 Operating server. What's the 8% of 1372? One was
109.76.
109.76.
okay, then the total, actual total. What's up? The closing balance is 1188. So what do we have as a closing balance for actual balance?
1,401.76.
So what is the difference?
213.76.
What's the difference, please?
230.
And it was a good thing because Daniel was together. But it pushed me.
Okay, so are you okay? We are not done. We are not done anything. So please, those who are copying, quickly copy and let's progress with other pressing areas, please. Those who are copying, hurry up so that we can move into financial statement effects of these items. Please, are you done? Can we continue? Okay, sure. Okay. Okay, so now one thing that you need to appreciate here is where does this item appears in the financial statement? And this interest expense is a P&L item, expense. Current service cost is an expenditure posted to P&L. Past service cost, an expenditure that goes into P&L. Now, actual gain or loss are OCI, other comprehensive income. OCI, other comprehensive income. And market closing balance, the net balance here is the balance sheet item. Okay. I want to demonstrate to you how it is done in that regard. Now, please, can you put your mics on mute? This session is mine. Okay. Now, so let's look at the P&L extract. In the P&L extract, we have expenditure and we have other income. Not other comprehensive income, other income. After gross profit, we have other income before you even come to expenditure. Okay. Now, we have, I mentioned to you that the current service cost is an expenditure. So expenditure, we have the employee scheme, current service cost. So the P&L extract for year 1 to 3 current service costs will show as expenditure for each year. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to be aware about is interest expense and interest gain. And this is how we recognize it. If you recognize it differently, I will gladly mark you wrong. Okay, so take note. Now, on a year, we balance out. So if you take the interest for year 1, this is an obligation. So whatever interest we incur is an expense. This is an investment for the firm. So whatever interest we incur is a gain. So for you to report an expense or a gain depends on the difference between the two. So let's look at year 1. Year 1, you had an interest expense of 99, but you have an interest gain of 100. So it gives you a gain balance of 1. So in year 1, we won't report interest expense. We rather report an interest gain of 1. Is that clear with everybody?
Yes.
Now, year 2, let's look at year 2. Year 2, interest expense is still 99, but interest gain is 107.1. So I think year 2 will also be a gain. Year 2 will still be a gain of, I think, 8.1.
8.1.
Yeah, 8.1. Now, let's look at year 3. Year 3, we have interest expense of 110.4 and interest gain of 109.76. So it gives us, I think year 3 will be a loss, interest expense rather. But the expense was more than the gain. So that gives us interest expense of this minus that. So that gives us an interest expense of 1. So I'm sure that is very clear with everybody.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So since it's already expensive, we have to still put it in the bracket.
Yeah, in the P&L extract, yeah, it makes sense. If you don't put it in the bracket, that's fine. But in the P&L extract, expenses are in brackets, isn't it?
Okay.
And because there's an extract, and you are reporting gain and loss, gain and expenses. So once you don't put gains in brackets, you put the expense in bracket. Okay. Okay, let's look at the other comprehensive income extract.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Yes.
So,
Yes, my dear, I'm listening to you.
are you saying that when we forget and report the main figures, like we bring the expenses wrong?
You forget and report what? You put the 99 here, and then you come and put the there, and you put the gains also here. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. I
I'm
remember.
asking that's what you were saying. We'll be mad wrong.
I'll mark you wrong. I will personally mark your script wrong. In the professionally, you balance out the gain, interest gain against interest expense, and you report the whole imbalance all the time. Okay. So, I think that you're right, but that's not what the standard tells us. Okay. That's why when you look at the financial statement, usually it's a finance gain or a finance loss. Underneath in the notes, the gains have been matched against the finance loss. That's the interest gain. The interest has been matched against the expense. So where it is an expense, shadowing the gain as well of the finance expense or finance cost. So we always match the two and report the balancing figure at either finance or finance year.
Thank you.
Gain or loss, an obligation, the actual gain or loss, whatever for the asset is this now. So that's where we have to report. This is minus 103.76. So OCI balance. This was a loss of 31 against a gain of 150. That will give us a gain of 119. This was a gain of 154. However, this was a loss. The loss of 221. So the loss of 66. Now this was a loss of 221. Simply done by comparing the closing balance on the obligations for any specific year against the closing balance on the assets. Okay, so you can have net balance showing up here. Okay, now let's look at this one. We had an investment closing balance of 1,190 minus gain for us of 90. Okay, and here we have an investment balance of 1,372 against an obligation of 1,308. Net balance is a liability to us, and here also it will be a liability since the obligation is far more than we have a net balance, which is a positive investment here, and these are liabilities. So in the balance sheet extract, we will usually open up, this is going for several years, you open up a non-current asset and open up a non-current liability. We have net balance on employee benefit scheme. Okay, only year one we had a good balance of 90. I think year 2 was 0, year 3 was 0. Okay, however, year 2 and year 3 it became a liability. So net balance on employee benefit scheme liability. Okay. Year 1 is again, so it's 0, but year 2 is minus 8. Of course, this is where you don't put it in a bracket, but it's a balance sheet item. You don't put anything in bracket. And this is 220. Okay. Are there any questions? Will you even have a question? Are there any question, guys? Yes.
So please,
Yes.
the other comprehensive income aspect, I didn't get some of that. My network wasn't stable there.
The network stable and go over again in the spirit and find it. It's actually a deep thinking of the rolling figure of the actual gain or loss on the investment, and I guess that you need to consciously know where there are gains or loss. This one, we said that it was an actual loss, like 31. My actual balance was 1,061, but the market posted 1,100.
Yeah.
It means that the obligation, I have to provide more of 31 to make up. Okay, so it's a loss. Now this one, my closing balance is 1,190, but my actual carrying value is 1,040. So it gives me. So where the gain meets the loss, obviously it gives me an OCI balance, which is a gain of 1,000. 119.
Okay.
And that principle is through year 2 and year 3. Is that okay with you?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Are there any further questions? I know you won't have a question. You are fine, Kra. Okay. Mhm. You are not joking here. Mm. Okay. So are there any further questions? Okay, there are no questions. Please, those who are copying, quickly copy and let's return my attention to other present areas. Please, you who? Teach you what?
What was that Mr. Ben said I should show us?
You know how much I take when I speak for 1 hour. I don't know. If you know.
The talk that you used to go and talk about body skin and all those people, just conversations.
Yeah, but I have to relieve some stress with some social conversation. I'm giving you a Excel sheet to study. You want me to come and teach you. You don't know how to sit and study and know it yourself. Okay, guys, I don't know. I know there won't be any question, and I know that you have even finished copying. You don't want to talk. You are just reflecting deep on how to capture the whole structure in your head. That's fine. Please let me put in a second standard quickly. I have barely 22. I have actually 50 minutes, almost an hour more. So that one you don't have any choice at all. Are there any questions? Okay, good. Yes. Am I with the class or the class is gone?
Sir, we are with you.
Yeah, with you.
I'm also with you.
Okay.
But it's not supposed to be your life. There are some things in your life which has to be complex anyway. If I speak to all of you one after the other, some of you will tell me that your relationships are complicated. Is that not it? So there are things in our life that has to be complex in its own stuff. Yeah. Okay. So the next standard, I want us to talk about share-based. We call it SBPs. Actually, share-based payments are driven by IFRS 2. Okay. Are driven by IFRS 2 and then what about share-based payments? I feel that these are motivational schemes in which an employer offers directors and employees an opportunity. When I'm moving too fast, let me wait so that I can wait for you to write before I skip. These are motivational schemes in which an employer offers employees and directors an opportunity to be part owners of the organization. Okay. Here, the firm allots an amount of shares to these employees and directors on condition that they work with you over a number of agreed period. Call it vesting period. Same true. So basically, that got to do with share-based payment, and you will have to appreciate that there are two schemes. There are basically two schemes of this. There are two types of SBPs. Okay, one is the equity option, and the second one is the share appreciation right. We call it the cash-based option. Cash-based, okay. So basically two types now. Two types. I want us to quickly look at the two types and walk away. Now, let's look at the equity option. So the standard is your Bible, so it's there for you to know it. It's there for you to know it. So the equity option, this is where the firm allots shares to designated employees on condition that they work with you over a period of time. Yeah. Now, here, one thing that you need to know here, year on year, note that point. Note, very important point, I suppose. Year on year valuation of these shares are done using the fair value price at the grant date, which is usually date 0. Note this, year-on-year valuation of these shares are done using the fair value price at the grant date. So it strikes us that every year when you are valuing the instrument, you will use the grant date to value the instrument. Okay. Now that actually the main distinguishing feature is in the two instruments, is in the way we value them. You see, I'm trying to pump in last week our meeting and this week meeting all into one, so that you can be abreast with the yesterday classes I had, and then next week we can start on a fresh note. Okay. So and just by the way, if you want to write it in your note. Next week, 26th April, which is our second week of our face-to-face, when we meet, you will write your first test, written, yeah, first test of everything that you are doing when you are at home and we are working online. Okay. And I'm going to run those tests from yesterday classes, 2 classes, to you to the weekend. Now, every class question is going to be different. So you can chase up. When you hear that yesterday's people have written their test, you can go for their paper and see what came in there. And guard your heart against what will come in your test. But I can assure you that everybody's own will be different. I'm not a fan of repeating questions. Even your examination question, there won't be repetition in there. So if you're going for past questions, it's healthy for you to practice your hand on several past questions, but it will be completely different. Everybody's question will be completely different. And last year, they wrote, every class had its own different. Those past questions last year, last 2 years, all of them are there. You can lay hand on them and solve them as much as possible. There are questions on the slides. Every slide, we have additional questions for you to practice your hand on. But don't allow anybody to give you stick a lotto that this question, all banger, is going to come. That one, I can assure you, it won't happen. Okay. So please take notes. I have a very rich and a good question bank where I can dip my hand into it and pick question on any topic. Any topic. Okay, so please take note on the 26th of May, on April, 26th April, which is Tuesday, I'll program it in my head. Which is Tuesday, you write your test. Yeah. Okay. Now let's get on serious business. Now let's look at share appreciation right. Now this one with SAR, here the firm make share gain appreciation incentives to its employees. Okay. That's not even the intent, but the intent is that year-on-year valuation of these shares is done using fair value price at the current date or current year. Okay. So note the distinction, the distinguishing feature between these two instruments is the fair value price we use to appraise the instrument. Yeah. So that is mainly the focus. Now, let me see what your slides have. A share-based payment, IFRS 2. This is the fair value of right given to the employees. It is not an intrinsic value of options, it is the fair value of shares. However, the recognition depends on the type of share-based payments that we have. And I've explained to you that we have there are two types, options. That option you see there is necessarily called equity options and share appreciation rights. They are almost identical. The fair value is recognized as follows. So please take note. Now, I will explain the formula to you. But one of the things you need to know is that with equity option, we use the grant date fair value to value the instrument. Whilst with the share appreciation right, we use the current fair value price to value the instrument. Okay. There's a question. Okay. Now, but of course, we can't even solve the question if I don't tell you the formula. So now, what is the SBP formula? What is the SBP formula? Now, in a year, at any particular year, the SBP formula is the number of employee expected to vest, and note it, write it in your notes. Number of employees expected to vest times number of shares per employee. Okay, I'll explain this. Now, you have 10 employees, but over the years, anytime you launch such a share-based payment scheme, by the end of the period, 2 employees have left. So you know that the number of employees expected to vest in a particular year is maybe 8. Now, if each employee will be given 100 shares on condition number of period, then you need to make room for 800 rights. We call it rights, okay? 800 rights. Now the rights become the total number of shares to issue to this group of employees who had vested over the vesting period of the instrument, okay? So if you come to, and then this way we have the fair value price, okay? And the fair value price times the timing ratio. So you see how nice it is, okay? And that gives you an amount for year 1. So take note. That's over the vesting period. Guys, if you are copying anything, copy.
Oh, okay.
So, are there any question? I don't think there will be question at this point. So, number of employee expected to vest. What is it about? This is equal to total number of employee on the scheme less those who have left, and further less to those expected to further leave. Okay, take note. So if you have, let's say, you are in year 2, but the scheme was started with 100 employees, but in year 1, 20 have already left, and in year 2, we are expecting 10 more to leave. Okay, then obviously, number of employees expected to vest will be 70. Take note. Take note. As for the number of shares per employee, it doesn't make sense to explain what it is. But what I have to tell you is the number of employees expected to vest. Very sensitive area. And we have the fair value price. As for fair value price, it's fair value price, isn't it? So let me explain to you the timing ratio. Now, the timing ratio is the current year over a vesting period. Okay, so if you are in a second year, let's say if you are running a 5-year scheme and you are in a second year, then the timing ratio will be 2/5. Okay, if you are in a third year, the timing ratio will be 3/5. That's it. That's the timing ratio. Very simple to know. Now, is that all? I think so. Yeah.
So
Yes.
come again with that one. The timing
The timing rate is the current year over the vesting period. When you say vesting period, we are talking about the period of the scheme. It could be 10 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 4 years, the vesting period. So at any point in time, when you are building the model for a particular year, it is that current year over the vesting period. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir. So, sir, in the main formula, the share-based payment is stated that times timing ratio equal amount minus year 1.
No, sorry, let me delete the year 1. Equal amount. This is the formula for any particular year. So I was using the year 1 as an example, or maybe I would say the SBP amount for year 1 equals year 1 for any year equal to. Then I bring the formula and clean up the amount here. Do you get what I'm trying to?
Yes, I'm not clear.
Okay, sure. Thank you. You don't ask question and be there and be watching tail with your eyes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, so please do the grant date at fair value.
Mhm.
Please, can you explain that part to me?
Yes, I will demonstrate it when you are solving a question. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother. Okay, so let's see this question. Now, but I was explaining to you that sometimes the right is calculated for you already. For instance, number of employee expected to vest times the number of shares paid. Assuming that each employee who vested is entitled to 10 shares. Entitled to 10 shares. Then obviously the number of rights will be 70 employees who are expected to vest times 10. And that will give us 700 rights. Okay, so take note of the number of rights. Some question will come giving you the rights already. It means that this lengthier portion of the formula had already been done for you. So you only multiply by the fair value price times the timing ratio. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let's see the Benin question and let me quickly close you to go. Now, Benin offered direct. So he's promising directors to stay with them for 3 years and you'll be entitled to some amount. Now, the number of rights taken up by the number of directors times the rights entitled to each director and giving you 100 million rights. Okay. Now, the options were exercisable shortly after the end of the 3rd year. I don't want to even treat exercising the options with the intrinsic value. When you get to the professional level, you handle it there yourself. Now, the fair value of the options and the number of rights expected to vest were at each relevant point crucial. So you have the year 0, that's the start of the scheme, like beginning of the year, now the now year. Even at the beginning, we have the number of rights expected to vest 97 million. And the fair value price of the option is 40 cents at year 0. Year 1, number of rights expected to vest is 90 million. And the fair value price is 45. Year 2, 93 million, the price is 37 cents. Year 3, 94 million, the price is 56 cents. Require show the financial statement effect. Of course, we are accountants, so always that will come up. Now, if you take, it says that Benin offered directors an option. Option means an equity option. Okay. So this one is an equity option scheme. Well, I'll try and tackle it with the 2 schemes and we'll see how to appraise it. So let's solve the Benin. Let's solve the Benin question. Okay, solution. Okay. So we have year. Okay. Now, what happened to, let me start on a fresh page. Okay. What happened to year? What happened to year 0? The beginning of the year. Year 0. At year 0, the scheme is actually 0. You know why? I could build up the formula for year 0 for you. You see, year 0, the number of rights expected to vest is 97 million. So 97 million year 0 is 97 million times, I'll show you why year 0 is always 0, times the fair value price at the grant date is 40 cents. So times 40 cents times the timing ratio. current year, which is 0, you see. So 0 over a 3-year scheme will obviously give you 0 because here is 0. And the 40 cent times 97 million will give you 0. That's why at the start of the scheme,
Hello,
the
sir.
recognition, yes.
So, sir, the 97 million means that's the number of the shares, sir.
That is the number of rights.
Right.
And the right, I explain what right is. Right means that they've done the computation of the total number of employees times the entitlement of each employee for you already. Okay. Now, so year 0 will give you 0. Yeah. Let's see year 1. Year 1. It's not easy. Tried already. Year 1. Year 1. No. So that's why I always say year 0. Basically, it's 0. So let's see year 1. What will happen now? Year 1. And don't forget that this particular scheme is an equity option. Okay. Equity option. With year 1, we have 90 million, right? Okay. So 90 million, right? Times, what is the fair value price? We say that with the equity option, year-on-year valuation is done using the fair value price at the grant date, which is the date 0. So you will notice that even though we are in year 1, we will still go back and pick the 40 cents, which is the fair value price, isn't it?
Yes.
40 cents. Okay. Times 1 over 3. Okay. What do we have for year 1? Close of year 1.
So I'm coming.
What do you have? Yes. What do you have?
12 million.
Yeah, good. But let's look at year 2 quickly. Year 2 is 93 million times still 40 cents. For year 2, quickly.
24,800,000.
It's 1 million, sorry. Let's look at year 3.
Yeah,
24.8 million.
Yeah.
That's, and year 3 is 94 million times still 40 cents and 3 over 3. That gives us what?
37.6 million.
Okay. Now, what is the year-on-year changes? So, year 1, the change that will go to P&L is the difference between the closing balance of year 2, year 0 against the closing balance of year 1. So, the change is what? I think 12 million. Okay, that's 12 million. What about year 1 against the close of year 2? P&L, I think 12.8 million. Somebody should double check. And what about year 2? Yes. And what about year 3?
The year 1 and year 2, 12.8.
Data 7.7 and 24.8.
Okay.
So year 1 is 12 million. But the first year, year 2 is 12.8 million. You are talking about year 2 and year 3.
Okay. 12.
That's correct. So what are the budgets? You get, yeah, that's correct. For year one, you debit share-based payment. Okay, so good. So you debit P&L expense provision for SBP. That is 12 million. And you credit non-current liability SBP. Yeah. What about year two? So what about year two?
12.8. 12.
You debit P&L again. Debit expense. Provision for SBP. 4.8 million. And you credit non-current liability SBP provision. 4.8 million. And what about year three? You debit P&L expense. Provision.
That one goes 4.8.
4.8 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what P&L extract from year one, year two, year three? Expense, isn't it? Provision for SBP. Year one was 12 million.
12.
Year two, 12.8 million.
12.8.
Year three, 12.8 million. Balance sheet extract. We're talking about parent liability and SBP provision. Year one was 12 million. Year two was 22.4 million. No, year two was 24.8 million. And year three was 37.6 million. Are there any questions?
No. So,
Are there any questions? Would there even be a question? Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
So in the question, what?
Yes,
why
please.
is it
I'm with you.
So why is it that like they know that we will not be using the subsequent the figure given in cent? You know that we will not be using it, and then they brought it. Is there a reason for bringing it?
Which figure?
No, the one
Yeah,
in
go back to your
the
question.
use the first one 0.4. The subsequent figure for the
This question, yes. This. No, because of the models, because the class, this type was an equity option. And the option was year-on-year evaluation with a fair value price at the grant date. The grant date is the beginning of the instrument, which is date Z. Okay, that is why year-on-year, the fair price of valuing the instrument has not changed. And it's so because the SBP were running was equity. In the same question, we could adapt the assume that this is the appreciation right. Appreciation right. How would it look? Let's just run it. What do you have for year one?
13.5 million.
13.5 million. Instead of 12 million, if it were to be an equity option. Now let's see year two. Year two, it has even dipped down, 37 cents. Oh, year two will be 37 cents. So what is the value for year two? Am I answering your question?
Yes, sir.
What is the what is the value for year two?
Okay. I'm doing that.
93. What is the value? Yes.
22.
So year 2 be 22,900 and
Let's call it 22.9 million. Yeah. In year three will be 56 cents. What is the value for year three? What is the value for year three?
So the year three, okay, 94.
52 million.
52.64.
6 million.
52.6 million. That's okay. So we work out the year-on-year changes. Year one, we are reporting 13.5 million in P&L. Year two, what is the difference between this and that?
$9.4.
9.4 million. And what about year three P&L item change? That would be huge. Year three is very, very high. If you look at the close of year two against close of year three, the P&L item is huge. What's the difference?
29.7 million.
Yeah,
29.7 million.
And of course, so with this, you should be able to open up your journal.
For instance, 5 years, then there's the
Okay.
26 year bloody.
Pardon?
Sir,
Yes, my brother.
please, can I look at the format? The previous format.
This one.
No, the format you gave us, the first one before we came to this, for the employee benefit.
This one.
You say the employee benefit.
Oh, employee benefit also. Hey,
Yeah,
this
one. I didn't finish copying it.
Okay, please.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Come in.
Are there any further questions?
Sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
Yeah, please, can I look at the last
I should go to the top.
Share this. Any IFRS 2. You know, you can.
And this one is IFRS.
Bakuno the address on the other. Employee benefits. Address on Papa.
But you don't want it to be
sorry. And the other in the American. I didn't feel a mega dross. Tapping a me, baby.
Cecilia,
please put your mic on mute because your friend calling you to send in what we are discussing. I'm sure that she is in a very deep pit, and she should be there thinking that you copy and post it to her. That's fine. I don't make a decision. Okay, guys, if there are no further questions, thank you so much. We have traveled very far today to cover last week and this week things. I'll meet you next week on a fresh note. I can't wait to see everybody again. It's so nice seeing you and seeing how your cheeks have grown and all of that. So I'll meet you next week face to face in class.
Sir.
And I wish you all the best in the rest of the week. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, the result, when are they releasing it?
Our approvals and everything is gone to the academic